Hi, welcome back. Now, if you saw the previous video, I showed you how to make these artificial flower stamens using wow embossing powder and floristry wire. So now I'm going to show you how you can make a very simple artificial flower with crepe paper. One thing I will say about the crepe paper is you can buy cheap crepe paper in most cheap shops. It's really worthwhile if you want to make some decent artificial flowers to buy a good quality heavyweight crepe like this is from Clairefontaine, and there's a lovely range of colours and they really do hold their shape well. You can pull the petals out, they don't tear, they stick well and they're colour fast. Right, we'll go back to these stamens. You've got yourself a bunch of 5 double-ended purple glittery stamens, and what you want to do is find the middle, find yourself a piece of floristry wire. Now, floristry wire is actually quite good. It's very malleable, but it does hold its shape well once it's bent. I'm just going to fold that in half to make a loop. I'm going to level up my stamens, pop the loop over the middle of them, and then I'm going to bend these up to fold them in half. It's probably easier actually if you do these one at a time than trying to bend all 5 up at the same time, but I like to save time. And then once you've done that, twist your stem of wire and also just close up. It does help if you've just got a little pair of flat nose pliers here to keep things all in check. And they're all hanging about at the minute. I'm going to show you how you get around that in a second. Let's just finish twisting my stem. It doesn't have to be a tight twist because we're going to cover this stem with florist tape. Now, if you've never seen florist tape before, it's a dull green, almost like a crepe paper tape, and it just doesn't feel particularly sticky at all. It doesn't stick to your fingers. You need to tear yourself off a bit, and what happens is it's impregnated with some sort of wax. So when you stretch it, it becomes sticky, but it only sticks to itself. It doesn't stick to your fingers. It will stick to your crepe paper, but only if you wrap it around. So it does mean that if you make a mistake, it's very easy to rectify that mistake. You can just unpeel it. So hold your stamens in one hand, take your tape, and as you wrap it, stretch it. And what that does is that activates the wax that's on the paper. And so you can bind your stem and your stamen. And this is the kind of tape that florists use when they're doing like wedding, like buttonhole corsages. Because as you can see now, that tape is holding my stamens up on the stem like so. So we're just going to build up the flower now. I've found the easiest glue to use actually is a good PVA. I'm going to make some crepe stamens to go around this, and this is quite simply from a piece of yellow crepe that I've cut a fringe into, and then I'm just going to do this between thumb and finger to twist each of those pieces of fringe. Stretch it out a bit. Use the brush end of the paintbrush. And we'll just brush a little bit of PVA. You don't need an awful lot. You don't want to soak your crepe paper. You just want enough on there that you can wrap your stamens around, or the crepe stamens around your embossing powdered stamens, and they hold in place like so. Now, I'm going to have some templates for you in the description below that you can download. There'll be PDF templates so that you can create your own petals. And what I suggest you do actually is you print them out and you either print them on thin card or stick them onto thin card so you can use them as a template. And I've found the quickest and easiest way of cutting petals is cut yourself up the grain of the crepe. It's important to cut up the grain and not across, because you want to stretch the width of the petals, not the length of the petals. Take your card template, pop it on there, and then just concertina fold your strip. You can get 5 of these small ones out of a standard length, yeah, it is a length piece of crepe. And I do know that people sort of cut petals out on cutting machines, or they cut them out individually. I, quite frankly, have never got the time to do things that precisely. So I'm just going to hold my template against my concertina and roughly cut the same shape. And then what you want to do is you want to stretch, but just stretch the very top. Don't stretch the bottom of it, because then what happens is as it's glued, it will create that beautiful wavy effect on your petal. Bit of glue on the bottom, unstretched bit. And bring it up to your flower. And while that glue is just setting, you can stretch your next petal and trim off that random rectangular piece on the edge of it. A little bit more glue. It's a little bit too much glue. I'm doing these quite quickly. If you've got the time to let your glue just soak into your paper a bit before you apply the next layer, it does make life much less stress-free. I have been known to make artificial flowers and then I've gone to fluff the petals out, and because I've been putting wet glue on wet glue on wet glue, none of it's had time to dry and it's all just slid off the stalk. It's quite irritating, if I'm honest. And try and put a petal one side, a petal the other side, and then a petal here and a petal there, and build it up so they're spaced evenly around the flower. And you can look at it from the top and see where you need to add additional petals to kind of fill the flower out. And with most of the flower templates that I've given you 2 or 3 sizes, so that as your flower becomes bigger, the petals on the outside become bigger. So I'm just going to pop this last outer petal on. So I've got 9 petals on this flower altogether. There's 5 small and 4 large. I'm just going to give it a good squeeze to make sure that everything is held in place. I'm going to cut myself a bit more florist tape. And then just hold it on the back of your flower and wrap a couple of times quite tightly around the base of those petals to bind them in place. And then you can just hold the tape under tension as you spin your flower around. I'm just going to bend up the bottom of that stem so you've not got any sharp points. Oh, I'm going to try and bend up the bottom of that stem. And then just take it up to the top. So I'm not going to do the leaves today. The leaves are very simply just cut from on the grain of your crepe. And you can add them into the binding as you're wrapping the stem And as I say, with these little stamens in the centre, it just makes them look a little bit more realistic. So I hope you enjoyed that demonstration. I hope you'll come back and see us again very, very soon, and subscribe to us if you've not done so before, because we've got new videos coming up all the time. They're a wealth of crafting disciplines, as it were. We enjoy making them. I hope you enjoy watching them. And we'll see you again very soon. Thank you. If you've been inspired to create, please share your makes with us in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed videos by the Crafts channel, hit the like button. Want to see more of us? Then click subscribe. See you next time.